caught that too, didn't you? Jake asks Yamura. The Sakari spirit nods in agreement. Thanatos' embrace is not a passive ability. You must have to concentrate on the ability to keep it active. Otherwise, Allura's strike on him should have killed her. Instead, she was able to damage him. He relies on his magic too much, and does not train his physical body. If she is able to deliver a powerful enough blow, she very well may kill him. Chanting, Allura begins to cast her next spell under her breath. "What's that?" he mocks, tilting an ear towards the girl. "Speak up. I cannot hear you." "Restranta." Allura's eyes blazed like fire as she invoked her magic, summoning powerful chains of energy that erupted from the ground beneath the Necromancer. The magical chains snaked swiftly around Aisheth's legs and wrists, binding him tightly and immobilizing his movements with supernatural force. With a swift chant, Allura invoked the Creonle spell once more, channeling its enhancing properties into her physical form. The magic surged through her veins, doubling her strength and speed in an instant. She wasted no time, closing the gap between herself and the stunned Necromancer with lightning speed. Her fist connected solidly with Aisheth's chest, the impact reverberating through both of them. Aisheth's eyes widened in shock, blood spilling from his mouth as the force of Allura's blow knocked the wind out of him. For a moment, his composure cracked, his arrogant facade shattered by the unexpected ferocity of her counterattack. "Damn it!" he spat out between coughs, his voice tinged with both pain and grudging respect. "I got too confident. I should never have tried fighting you myself." Allura's focus remained unwavering, her mind sharp despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. The Creonle spell, while bolstering her abilities, also exacted a toll on her endurance. She could feel the strain building, the magic burning through her reserves at an alarming rate. She knew she had to end the battle quickly before her body reached its limits. The seconds stretched into eternity as Allura assessed her next move, her senses hyper-aware of every detail on the chaotic battlefield. The sound of crashing waves filled the air, blending with the distant cries of battle. Blood trickled down her forehead, mixing with sweat as she braced herself for the inevitable retaliation from the wounded Necromancer. Aisheth struggled against the magical chains binding him, his dark eyes filled with hatred. With a snarl of defiance, he summoned dark energies to his fingertips, preparing to unleash a devastating counterattack against Allura. "You are nothing more than a cheerleader. You should be on the sidelines, not the front lines," Aisheth mocked, pushing the bloodied girl to the ground. Allura crawls back up to her feet, swaying as she is barely able to remain conscious. "Shinye, Abaya," one of the most powerful support spells in a desperate situation. Allura is able to convert all of the damage inflicted upon her into attack power. Because she has suffered so much in this battle, her attack strength is boosted beyond any previous gains. But the spell has no visible effect, fooling Aisheth into thinking nothing has happened. Aisheth laughs, relishing a victim's final desperate moments. He may have told Allura that he is not cruel, but that was a lie. Casting dud spells. "Creonle," Allura coughs. She can feel her muscles tearing, and a heat is generated within her that makes it feel like her organs are cooking. "If you double zero, it is still zero," Aisheth mocks. "You do not belong here on this island, in this tournament." Allura ignores all of the pain, putting all of her focus into a single strike. Rather than double all of her stats as before, the magician has only increased her speed and punching strength. Rushing Aisheth, she delivers one last punch that is far different from those previous. The blow connects with the Necromancer's jaw and sends him bouncing off the ground helplessly. As the young mage attempted to take another step forward, Aisha shakily held up a single hand, raising a defensive wall between him and the girl. Allure did not hesitate, redirecting her remaining strength towards the barrier. Allure's fist collided with the towering wall of bones and corpses. With a resounding impact, her remaining boosted strength expended in powerful strikes. The magical barrier shattered under the force of her blow, bone fragments and putrid flesh exploding outward in all directions. Dust and debris filled the air, momentarily obscuring the battlefield in a haze of decay and magic. Aisha staggered back, his eyes wide with a mix of surprise and frustration. Blood continued to trickle from his injured mouth, and he gazed upon Allure with newfound respect. "I was too cocky trying to fight you directly," he admitted, his voice carrying a hint of begrudging admiration. "I did not become as powerful as I am by fighting opponents hand to hand. My strength lies in my control over the dead." Meanwhile, Allure wasted no time pressing her advantage. With a primal yell, she struck at the remains of the corpse wall, her hands pounding through decaying flesh and brittle bones, with powerful, frantic strikes. The full bodies that had composed the barrier began to drop from their lofty position, hitting the ground with sickening thuds. As the corpses fell, a grim transformation took place. Once lifeless husks, they began to twitch and stir, animated by dark necromantic energies. Limbs jerked spasmodically, and vacant eyes blinked open, their gaze devoid of life, yet filled with malevolent intent. The undead soldiers crawled free from their former prison, their movements awkward and disjointed, as they lumbered towards Allure with singular purpose. The battlefield crackled with dark energy as Allure found herself facing the new threat. Despite her exhaustion and the toll taken by the Creonle spells, she remained steadfast, her mind racing for a strategy to overcome this fresh wave of adversaries. Her heart pounded in her chest as she assessed the situation, knowing that every second counted. "Watch out," Jake screams. "The wall zombies are getting back up." Allure goes on high alert, spinning to smash her knuckles into the face of a zombie as it attempts to grab her from behind. More corpses peel away from the wall, quickly surrounding the mage on all sides. Allure fights against the attacking zombies, but she is severely outnumbered and her stamina is rapidly declining. The scale slides more out of Allure's favor, as nearly the entire wall has become a flood of zombies covering the beach, like hundreds of swarming ants. If she gets bitten, is she going to become a zombie too? Jake asks. Zaya shakes her head. They're revived through magic, not something natural like a parasite or a virus. Allure screams out in pain as one of the zombies latches onto her forearm, tearing a large chunk of flesh away. The mage strikes the zombie in the face and kicks it in the chest to push it away. The creatures continue to swarm Allure. "She's going to be torn apart," Jake shouts. "We have to stop this match. We have to get her out of there." "Calm down," Danny says. "You panicking isn't going to help her. Allure needs our support. She needs us to have confidence in her." "Are you nuts? No one can fight an entire horde of zombies all by themselves," Jake shouts. "I've seen all 3 Romero Dead films like 12 times each. The strength of zombies is in their sheer numbers and their unrelenting pursuit. I need to channel enough energy into one more summoning," Allure thinks, continuing to fight for her life. "Even if I can only keep her manifested for a few seconds, it would likely be enough to buy me an opening to get me out of the middle of this swarm." "Summoning magic," Allure says, using the blood dripping from her arm to scrawl a summoning array across her chest. The spell circle glows brightly with blood magic. Plowgower, the Snow-White Princess. Allure is consumed in a bright light as the angelic warrior manifests from the circle on her chest. Plowgower immediately slashes out, reducing dozens of zombies to nothing but shimmers of light. She pivots, cutting down another wave of the undead creatures. While the Valkyrie fights for her, Allure is able to now see through the gap in the corpse wall. Allure's chest heaves up and down and she pants heavily as the Valkyrie's second appearance takes a severe toll on her. If I can just take him out, I can end this nightmare, Allure thinks. She manifests a glowing bow of energy and knocks an arrow made of pure light magic. Hayazanyo, Vajra, Allure chants, firing a light arrow through the gap in the corpse wall. Aisheth waves a hand, toppling the remainder of the corpse wall to fall upon the arrow and block the attack. Allure drops to a knee, clutching her chest. She sweats profusely. Unable to keep the summoning magic active any longer, Allure must dismiss the Valkyrie in order to conserve what little stamina she has remaining. The zombie stragglers are more spread out, and Allure has enough breathing room to take them out one at a time. Aisheth does not interfere, watching the mage's condition continue to deteriorate. "You can barely stay conscious now, my dear," Aisheth says. "You have proven yourself to everyone. There is no need for us to continue. Submit to me in defeat, and I swear that I will spare your life." "I didn't come to this island to give up on the first opponent," Allure says defiantly. "I came here to support and protect my friends." "And you can do that from the sidelines," Aisheth says. "There is no need to put yourself through more torture." Allure surrounds both of her wrists with bands of glowing light. "I'm not beaten yet," she says. "I don't know why you're talking down to me like you've already won this battle." Aisheth sighs loudly. "I gain no pleasure from your death." A cold wind blows through the island, and the sun seemingly vanishes. The life energy from the grass and trees slowly withers away, and a dull gray color paints everything in the area. "You have made your choice. I shall offer your soul as a tribute to Thanatos all the same." Aisheth's body becomes surrounded by an eerie green glow. The green magical energy is a sign of necromantic magic being utilized. "I am sorry, but your death will not be pleasant. You have already thwarted any attempts I have made at a clean death." Allure tries to ready herself for the next attack, but her stamina is near zero. "And I'll continue to thwart whatever you try. I'm not going to lose to you." "You have a lot of guts for a little girl," Aisheth says. "But how many more of my horrors can you endure?" "Invocare, Verminisi." The ground shakes as a mound of loose dirt bubbles up to the surface. From the mound, a plague of diseased, necrotic rodents vomits forth like a zombie rat volcano. Missing portions of flesh and having exposed bones, the rats are truly terrifying. Allure doesn't have much time to think as hundreds of the creatures rush towards her. "Aginestra!" Allure screams, thrusting a hand out to consume the rats in magical fire. Not deterred, more of the creatures replace those destroyed almost instantly. Allure throws her other hand out, firing another fireball. The rats just keep coming, and the mage is forced to unleash spell after spell while slowly retreating. Despite so many flames between them, more rats come forth in an unending tide. "You do not have the magic power or the stamina remaining to curb this assault," Aisheth says. "I can summon a near limitless supply of vermin. No matter how long you hold out, eventually you will be overwhelmed." Allure continues retreating, keeping up the flame magic, as it is effective in destroying the corpses. Unfortunately for her, their numbers are still too great. Aisheth holds a hand out, causing several of the rats to stop and turn to look back at him. With a gentle touch to each of the creature's noses, the rats are illuminated with a pulsating orange glow. Explode, Aisheth whispers, sending the enchanted rats to join the others. Allure continues working to eliminate the rats with her flames, when one of the glowing rats appears in the crowd. Allure's flames hit the rat, causing a large explosion that knocks the girl back several feet. Landing hard on her rear, Allure is temporarily stunned and unable to prevent the next wave of corpse rats from advancing. Panic in her eyes, Allure casts from a seated position, not wasting the time to stand. Miti ki the Ivar! Allure screams, using earth magic to raise the ground in front of her into a stone wall. The rats pile up against the wall and frantically chew at it. Unaware of pain, the creatures lose teeth and tear their faces apart just to break through. One of the orange rats reaches the wall and detonates, blasting a large chunk out of the barrier. A second one arrives, blasting the other side and knocking Allure back several more feet. Garuda Nostra! Allure screams, throwing a hand out and sending the rats back towards Aisheth with a gust of wind magic. Two of the orange rats collide midair, detonating in a massive blast that erupts into an enormous fireball in the sky. Aisheth shields his face from the blast with his arm. Well done, the Necromancer compliments. You have a strong desire to live. That will make you an invaluable asset to have in my arsenal. Your arsenal? Allure asks, out of breath. I will never be your weapon. You will have no choice, my dear, Aisheth says. When you are dead, you have no say in the matters of the living any longer. As long as I'm alive, I will keep fighting, Allure says defiantly. Aisheth grins. And that is exactly why you will become a prized servant in my collection. Hundreds more corpse rats have gathered before the Necromancer, awaiting his command. And now we begin our final exchange. Try not to get too damaged. I would prefer your body mostly intact. Repairing limbs to their prime functionality is quite difficult. One cannot simply cast healing magic upon a corpse. Any repairs that must be done can only be carried out manually. I have to stitch together the wounds my servants suffer myself after each battle. It is a very strenuous duty, and one that takes a great deal of my time and effort. I don't know enough about necromancy, Allure thinks in frustration. Do the servants obey the mage due to a link between them forged magically? Is there a possible way for me to fool them into disobeying the commands of their master? Give up now and spare yourself a horrible end, Aisheth says. The rats will tear at your flesh and burrow into whatever holes they can make. You will be devoured from the inside. Can you imagine the pain and terror that comes from feeling a foreign creature burrowing inside of you and chewing through your entrails while you are still powerless to stop it? How about you experience it and tell me how it feels? Allure begins to quickly chant, praying that she complete her spell before the rats reach her. Chantier de visage! Aisheth's face morphs into that of Allure's, and the young mage becomes the likeness of the Necromancer. The rats stop, sniffing the air and looking around in confusion. Oh, you are full of tricks indeed, Aisheth laughs. Very clever, but it is not my face that my servants obey. I'm aware of that too, Allure grins. Changier de voces! With this spell, the voices of the two mages are also swapped. My specialty is support and disguise magic. Eventually, I knew my skills would come in handy. And what are you going to do with this? Aisheth asks in Alor's voice. What a pointless spell! The rats turn towards the Necromancer with interest. Kill him, Alor commands. Aisheth throws his hands out, instantly reducing the corpse rats into a green mist. Dismissar la invocación. Alor breathes a sigh of relief that her gambit was successful. Restauración le visage, Aisheth chants, undoing Alor's first spell. Correctir las voces. How do you know how to undo my spells? Alor whispers, her face and voice return to normal. My experience in spellcraft far exceeds what you would denote as a master, Aisheth declared, his tone laced with superiority. I was not confined to the lessons of Evangelion as you were. My experience came from a wide variety of sources. You cannot replace a long and full life of triumphs and mistakes with books and scrolls. Life and death have been my teachers. What can you show me that I have not already seen? Lord trembled, her earlier defiance waning in the face of Aisheth's overwhelming presence and arrogance. The weight of his words bore down upon her, a stark reminder of the vast gap in experience and power that separated them. Fear crept into her heart, a cold and paralyzing sensation that threatened to consume her resolve. For the first time since the battle began, Alor found herself truly scared. Her mind raced, searching desperately for a solution, a way to overcome the Necromancer's dark prowess. Every tactic she had employed seemed futile in the face of Aisheth's relentless assault and his deep reservoir of arcane knowledge. She glanced around the battlefield, the animated corpses closing in around her again, their lifeless eyes fixed on her with unnerving focus. The sands of Jockey Island seemed to shift beneath her feet, as if urging her to find the strength within herself to defy the odds. But despite her fear, Alor knew she could not falter. She had come too far, faced too many challenges to surrender now. Her friends' voices echoed in her mind, their unwavering support a beacon of hope amidst the darkness. With a shaky breath, she straightened her posture, steeling herself for what she knew would be this battle's final exchange. This guy is crazy powerful, Jake says. If Alor can't pull something off, I've got him in the second round. Danny becomes angry. Don't count her out. Alor is going to win. I'm not going to lose any more of my friends. I didn't mean anything by that, Jake apologizes. I just have to prepare for the worst. I need to have a strategy of my own in place. I don't have healing magic or divine summoning on my side. Be more worried about what you're going to do against Alor, Danny says, because she is going to win. Aisheth's voice cut through the air with a chilling command, his hands raised in a gesture of dark invocation. Bone Chimera, he intoned, his words carrying the weight of ancient power. Across the battlefield, the very ground seemed to shudder as thousands of bones surfaced, drawn together by an unseen force of necromantic magic. The bones, remnants of man and beast alike, rattled and vibrated as they were pulled towards a central point. With eerie precision, they began to assemble and fuse, swirling in a chaotic dance of necromantic energy. Human skulls melded with the curved bones of animals, creating a grotesque amalgamation that defied nature itself. Thanatos embrace, Aisheth added, his voice resonating with triumph, as he reinforced his ultimate defensive magic. Dark energies coalesced around him, forming a shield of spectral shadows that seemed to pulse with malevolent intent. In the heart of the swirling mass of bones, a monstrous form took shape. The bones continued to interlock and fuse together, becoming a nightmarish creature that towered over the battlefield. Enormous tusks jutted from a crocodilian jaw, jagged and menacing. Multiple legs lined the sides of its skeletal body, each appendage moving with an unsettling fluidity, like a twisted, demonic caterpillar. The bone chimera roared with a sound that echoed across the island, its voice a cacophony of death and decay. Its empty eye sockets glowed with a faint, malevolent light. Fixating on Allure with an unyielding hunger, Allure's heart sank as she beheld the monstrous creation before her, her fear threatening to overwhelm her resolve. She glanced at Jake and Danny, their faces mirroring her own dread. Agi Nestra! Allure shouts, trying to burn the monstrosity. Nixe! Aisha dispels her magic with a wave of his hand. The bone chimera thundered across the battlefield with a terrifying speed that belied its grotesque form. Allure's heart pounded in her chest as she narrowly evaded its charging attack, rolling to the side with desperate agility. Sand and debris kicked up around her, the ground trembling under the weight of the creature's monstrous stride. She scrambled to her feet, her mind racing with urgency as she assessed the situation. With a swift motion, she conjured another burst of flame magic, aiming to halt the bone chimera's advance. The fiery projectile streaked towards the monstrous abomination, but before it could strike true, Aishet's voice cut through the chaos. Nixe, he again commanded, his voice tinged with dark amusement. A surge of counter magic rippled outward from him, unraveling Allure's spell midair. The flames flickered and dissipated, swallowed by the Necromancer's mastery over the arcane. Damn it! Allure cursed under her breath, frustration boiling within her chest. She could feel the weight of Aishet's power pressing down on her, a stark reminder of the vast gap in their abilities. Doubt crept into her mind, threatening to undermine her. He's too strong, she thought, her inner voice filled with self-doubt. I'm way out of my league here, but I have to do something. I can't do nothing and let his monster do me in. Allure set her sights upon the Necromancer and begins running straight towards him. Attacking me head-on is suicide, Aishet warns. Thanatos' protection is again upon me. Touching me will only grant you death. Allure's heart raced as she closed the distance between herself and Aishet, the bone chimera thundering close behind her with frightening speed. With a split-second decision, she invoked a spell, and in a plume of smoke her form vanished from sight. Fumus, Umbra, Saltus! The bone chimera, driven by its relentless charge, collided head-on with the protective barrier of Thanatos' embrace that surrounded Aisha. Dark energies crackled and clashed. With a terrible sound, the monstrous amalgamation of bones and sinew dissolved into nothingness. The Necromancer's eyes widened in disbelief as his prized creation was undone by the very magic meant to shield him. Nunc, evanescam, nunc, appaream. Allure reappeared in a cloud of smoke near the spot where the battle had first begun. Her senses heightened and adrenaline still coursing through her veins. Teleportation? Jake mused aloud, his voice tinged with astonishment at Allure's unexpected move. Not really, Zaya interjected, her tone calm and authoritative. It's a stealth technique. Allure used illusion magic to trick everyone's senses into believing she had moved, but in reality, she hadn't physically teleported at all. With the Bone Chimera vanquished and determination fueling her every move, Allure wasted no time in pressing her advantage. Her footsteps quickened across the sandy battlefield as she closed in on Aisheth, her mind racing with strategies to overcome his formidable defenses. But as she lunged forward, her fist poised for a strike, she was abruptly halted by the barrier of Thanatos' embrace that surrounded the Necromancer. The air crackled with dark energy, warning her of the deadly consequences should she breach its field. Allure skidded to a halt, frustration gnawing at her. She could feel the barrier's malevolent power repelling her like an invisible force field, leaving her unable to make physical contact with Aisheth. Her breaths came quick and shallow. Her muscles tensed with the effort of restraining her impulse to attack. Hayazanaru Vajra! A brilliant sphere of pure light erupted from her outstretched hand, hurtling towards Aisheth with blinding speed and intensity. The air crackled with radiant energy as the spell surged forward, illuminating the battlefield with its glow. But Aisheth was too quick to react. Dark tendrils coalesced around him, swirling and merging to form a shield of inky darkness that absorbed and deflected the approaching light magic. The spell collided with the shadowy shield, causing a violent clash of energies that sent shockwaves rippling across the sand. The beach was briefly bathed in a surreal blend of light and shadow, casting eerie silhouettes against the landscape. Allure gritted her teeth in frustration as she witnessed her attack being countered. The teen again vanished in a plume of smoke, reappearing behind Aisheth, with both hands already poised at his back, with a spiraling discharge of light magic. Hayazanaru Vajra! The Necromancer smirked with dark satisfaction, his eyes gleaming with a mixture of amusement and malice. I told you, you would have to do better than that, little mage. He taunted, his voice carrying across the battlefield with a mocking edge. Suddenly, Allure's eyes bulge, and blood begins to drool from her lips. You are not as clever as you think you are, the Necromancer says from behind, having seen through her smoke and mirrors, and flanked her starting position. That is but a simple trick. No! Danny screams. Allure! A black blade of condensed energy is buried deep into Allure's back. The teen cannot will her body to move. God of Death, I offer you this mage in her prime as my tribute. Please accept my offering and continue to bless me in my efforts to spread your name in all of my works. Jake balls his fist tightly, shaking in fury. Bastard! Aisheth dismisses his blade, Allure collapsing lifelessly to the ground. Danny rushes to her side, but the girl vanishes into a green mist. I'll kill you! Danny screams, held back by Zaya and Sinnoh. Jake walks past them towards the Necromancer, ignoring the others. Next round, it's you and me, he growls. And who the hell are you, child? Aisheth asks, unimpressed. I'm the person that's going to be sending you to meet your god face to face. Aisheth's laughter echoed mockingly across the battlefield, a sound filled with contempt and disdain. Jake lunged forward, his hand clamping onto Aisheth's arm with a vice-like grip. Black flames infused with Jake's own blue aura flickered and flowed down his arm, leaving a searing handprint etched onto the Necromancer's flesh. Aisheth's laughter abruptly faltered, replaced by a sharp intake of breath as pain lanced through his arm. The black flames branded his flesh, leaving behind a mark that smoldered with lingering magic. Surprise and fury contorted his features as he struggled against Jake's grasp, his earlier confidence shaken by the unexpected turn of events. How? Thanatos' protection is still active. Touching me should have killed that boy immediately, Aisheth wonders. He recalls how he was easily able to dispel Allur's attacks because of his higher level of skill and mastery. Could this boy really be so far beyond me that my spells are ineffective on him? You made a mistake coming to this island, Jake growls. This tournament is for monsters. His eyes briefly flash red. And you're just a scared old man hiding behind the dead bodies of people, way more tough and brave than you. Aisheth pulls his arm free and regains his composure. Make sure you get through your first match. I would hate to see all of your boasting be for nothing. What did you do with her body? Danny cries, hatred in her eyes. Any offering that I tribute to Thanatos becomes my slave to control, Aisheth explains. Your friend's soul now belongs to me. No! Danny screams. Release her! This isn't right! She is mine. Would you like to challenge me for her soul? I might accept, if you offer your own soul as a wager. Inyana angrily interrupts. There will be no side betting. What is done is done. Settle your grievances in the tournament. I do not wish to lose the gravity of this competition by my fighters battling outside of the brackets. If you wish for revenge, win your matches. She's right, Jake says, his face still stern. The teen is focused entirely on Aisheth, looking completely past his first round opponent. Let it go. He's mine to deal with. Counting your chickens a little early, aren't you? Kazdia says with a grin. You still have to survive me, boy. Jake glares at the devil. Oh, I'm aware. But you're not going to be any trouble getting rid of.